At Thanksgiving, my sister found out I had $12 million hidden away, and my entire family turned on me, demanding I hand it over because apparently she'd earned it more. Hey everyone, before we jump into this unbelievable story, I could use your support. Subscribing is quick, free, and it really helps keep these wild real-life stories coming your way. Your encouragement truly means the world to me, and together we can keep this channel thriving. Thank you so much. Now, let's dive in. Using a throwaway, because frankly, I like my life exactly how it is and don't need the extended relatives playing amateur detectives. My name's Hannah, 39, and this is the story of how my $12 million secret turned my family into a circus act, minus the charm. Growing up, it was just me, Mom, and Dad for the first 8 years. We weren't overly affectionate, but they showed up. Mom quizzed me on school spelling words while stirring pasta. Dad took me to the pier early on Saturday mornings to fish. Life was decent. Then, one frosty February night, my aunt showed up at our house at 2 a.m., eyes wide, telling me to pack a bag. Mom had gone into labor 2 months early. My sister Emily was on her way into the world. Nobody said it then, but her premature birth would become the gravitational pull of the entire family dynamic. The weeks that followed were full of hospital runs and whispered updates. Emily looked more like a fragile porcelain figurine than a baby, surrounded by monitors and wires. I wasn't allowed near her most days. That's when the invisible wall went up, and I was on one side, they were on the other. When Emily finally came home, our house changed completely. Mom became obsessed with cleanliness. Industrial-strength disinfectant smells clung to everything. There were hand sanitizer stations in every room before COVID made them trendy. If I so much as sneezed, I was shipped to Aunt Helen's or Grandma Jean's until I got a clean bill of health. At first, these banishments felt like mini vacations. Grandma Jean baked cookies, and Aunt Helen had an endless shelf of mystery novels. But eventually, reality clicked. I wasn't sent away for fun. I was a potential biohazard to precious Emily. Through grade school, I tried to claw back their attention in all the right ways. A's on every report card, bear nod, won first place at my school's history fair. That's nice, but can you store the project outside? Emily's allergies, you know. Pretty sure cardboard isn't hazardous, but that didn't stop them from using it as an excuse. By the time I was 12, the favoritism wasn't even subtle. I spent months teaching myself to play a gorgeous piano piece for the school recital. That night, Emily had a slight fever, 99 degrees. My audience seat stayed empty. A couple of weeks later, the entire family turned out for her 5-minute beginner's flute performance. All I remember is her version of Twinkle Twinkle ending with raucous applause. As we both grew older, Emily learned exactly how the system worked. A migraine meant she skipped chores. Tired? Mom wrote her an excuse note. Stressed about a test? Deadline extensions magically appeared. By high school, I had stopped competing for their attention. It was a waste. I turned my energy inward, burying myself in art history books and jewelry guides. My bedroom became my safe space, largely because Emily claimed to be allergic to my lavender candle. Oh, the appreciation I have for that alleged allergy now. Grandma Jean was the one who really lit my spark for vintage jewelry. She let me sort and catalog her giant costume collection. I didn't know it at the time, but that skill would become the foundation of my financial empire. At the moment, it just felt like having a project that was truly mine. The worst part wasn't even that Emily was the favorite, it was the gaslighting. Hannah understands Emily needs more care after her rough start. Hannah's so independent, she doesn't need as much from us, like independence is something you're born with. No, I learned it because I had to. Looking back, it's clear, every ignored achievement carved more determination into me. On my own scoreboard, I decided I would not only keep up, I'd get so far ahead they wouldn't even know what league I was playing in. High school became my personal launchpad, not because I loved it, but because I knew it was my ticket out. While Emily was busy starring as the lead in school plays, I was stacking my resume with any club or position that didn't clash with my part-time job at a small downtown cafe. Bless the owner, Marla. She remembered my birthday when my parents forgot and always slipped extra pie into my bag. By junior year, I'd settled comfortably into academic overdrive. Debate team captain? Check. Honor Society president? Check. Perfectly color-coded binders? Oh, absolutely. Emily mocked me as Rain Woman. I wore it like a crown. Then came my perfect SAT score, as in flawless. I floated home to share the news. Mom didn't even glance up from Emily's study session. That's great, honey, but keep it down. Emily's focusing. Emily smirked and tossed in, not everyone's a robot like you. That score never made it to the fridge, but Emily's B in biology did, complete with smiley magnet. I applied to every dream school I could think of without telling a soul. Wrote my essays, wrangled my recommendations, navigated the financial aid jungle solo. Acceptance letters bloomed under my bed like a secret garden. Yale, Columbia, Princeton, all dangling generous scholarships. When I chose Columbia, Mom's first reaction was, New York? What if Emily needs you? My full ride covered tuiiti. On, housing, books, and food. I was out the door. College was oxygen after years underwater. I thrived, juggling all-nighters, internships, and the occasional ramen binge. By graduation, summa cum laude was stitched into my diploma. Not that my parents noticed, too busy helping Emily transfer to her third college to find her passion. My first job was at a high-end auction house. Estate sales were the bread and butter, endless lists of crystal glassware and mahogany furniture. Then I stumbled on the Carver estate. Among boxes labeled costume jewelry, I spotted a brooch that felt different, heavier, more refined. I spent lunch breaks chasing down hallmarks, paid for a quick gemology course just to be sure. My boss nearly brushed me off until the costume prop sold for over $50K. That was the turning point. Suddenly, I was the go-to for tricky evaluations. I became ravenous for knowledge, learning styles and makers until I could practically identify a piece by touch. My apartment walls ended up plastered with reference photos, auction catalogs, and maker charts. Commission checks swelled. My savings account started growing fangs. And yet, every Sunday dinner, I was still Hannah who works at that little antique shop, while Emily entertained tales of her marketing internship, which seemed to involve delivering coffee. I started wearing truly priceless pieces to the table, just to see if anyone noticed. They didn't. Eventually, my boss dropped a bomb. You should run your own firm. It sounded absurd, me start a business, but the idea dug in like a burr. I had the skills, the contacts, and the stubborn streak. So I did it. I rented a cheap second-floor office over a takeout place, constant smell of fried noodles included, and started small. Looking back, it was the smartest, crazy decision I ever made. The first few months were a blur of fear and determination. I furnished the office with a folding table, a dumpster rescue chair, and my meager laptop. Loan payments circled like vultures in my head at night, but I knew two things. I spotted value others missed, and I had the work ethic of a mule on coffee. A local antique dealer brought me a collection of Victorian brooches. 2 pieces turned out to be rare originals. The commission alone was nearly $90,000. That was the shove my business needed. Word got around. Soon, lawyers, collectors, and even my old auction house were sending work my way. By year 2, I had a bright new office downtown, a small staff, and a reputation for exceptional accuracy. Emily, of course, was oblivious. At family dinners, she'd make pointed jokes about Hannah's little shop, while I straightened my vintage Cartier necklace and smiled. Sometimes I wore pieces worth more than her car, and she never noticed. By year 5, I'd expanded to 3 cities. My security vault could laugh in Fort Knox's face. Still, I drove a discreet car, lived in a tasteful but unassuming house. Privacy became part of the brand. My clients valued my ability to stay silent. Then came last Thanksgiving. 2 weeks before the holiday, Mom called in distress about her back and the impossibility of cooking for 20 people. I offered to have it professionally catered from a firm I use for billionaire clients. She protested about cost. I said, "Don't worry." Translation: I was desperate for a meal without dry turkey. That morning I arrived early with my laptop. A Hong Kong auction needed my input during dessert. The food arrived like edible art. Emily walked in late and without even tasting it sniffed, "Store-bought stuffing? Mom's is better." This, from the woman who set a toaster oven on fire. After dinner, I slipped into my old bedroom to check on the auction. Emily barreled in, saw my open laptop, and before I could stand, strolled out with it. "Let's show everyone what you're really doing," she announced. She turned the screen to the room. There they were. Current balance of $12.3 million. Pending contract at nearly $500,000. Recent transaction of $1.1 million. The silence was thick. Mom actually laughed at first. "Don't be silly. Hannah works at that shop." I straightened my sweater and said clearly, "I own one of the largest jewelry authentication firms in the country. 3 cities. That shop is my company." The look on my family's faces mashed together horror and greed like some unholy cocktail. Instead of congratulations, they erupted. Mom accused me of letting them struggle. Emily sobbed about betrayal and her right to know. Dad said I owed them. That was my snapping point. Years of being ignored boiled over. You missed my awards, my graduations, every milestone because Emily might be sad. You didn't help me with college, but you took out loans for her. I built this from nothing, without a cent from you. I left, took my laptop, my bag, and drove home as messages began pinging like popcorn, group chat exploding, Emily posting on Facebook about her greedy millionaire sister. The following Monday, they were in my office lobby, cool as cucumbers, suggesting I set up trust funds and buy them a Florida beach house. When I told them I'd been sending $7,000 a month anonymously for years, Emily sneered it was nothing compared to what I had. I canceled the transfers on the spot right in front of them. Security escorted them out when they refused to leave. Weeks of harassment followed. New numbers, fake emails, distant cousins calling to lecture me about family. Emily even hinted online about starting her own authentication business. Grandma Jean, the only sane voice, told me, "Good for you. About time one in this family lived life on their own terms." Mom didn't speak to her for 2 months. 6 months on, I'm in a new home with heavy security, changed every number, and my firm is booming. Ironically, my insistence on privacy after the Thanksgiving blow-up impressed several new wealthy clients. Emily still posts vague, bitter captions about toxic relatives hoarding wealth. I scroll past, smiling. For the first time, there's no Sunday dinner obligation. No downplaying my success to make others comfortable. No funneling money into the Emily show. My therapist calls it healthy boundaries. I call it finally being able to breathe. Thank you for watching if you're new here. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss more jaw-dropping true stories from real life around you.